I also feel like the dumbest thing you can do early in your career is date your boss, because you could be smart, you could be talented, you could have everything of your own talent. But as soon as anyone finds out, which there is a very high chance that they will find out, it will come with you throughout your career. No matter where you go, it kind of follows you. And then everything you've achieved of your own merit, people start going like, she just sleeps her way to the top. Hi guys, welcome back to Moment of Silence Pod. I'm Sakshi Shivdasani.
I'm Naina Bhan, and today we're discussing what every erotic film title is about.
What?
Like any kind of taboo relationship, you know,
Yeah.
sister, brother, stepmom, stepson, age gap,
Age gap, cheating.
cheating.
How are the most taboo relationships also the most watched porn? Like, I feel like that needs to, like, is it only hot because it is a taboo? Like, in India, apparently the most watched category of porn before it got cancelled as a genre of content was Bhabhi.
Barbie's still not bad. I mean, compared to,
Like, isn't Bhabhi like your brother's wife?
yeah,
Eeks.
accessible sneaky link.
Yeah. Like, in the house.
Yeah, you don't have to move too far. She'll cook for you after and before.
Yeah, it's something about like, she's a woman living with you that's not related to you.
Yeah.
It's sick. Don't justify this shit.
Have you ever been in a taboo relationship?
Dude, no, I've not been in a taboo relationship. Like, I genuinely think I'm too stuck up. Like, I feel like if I'm ever in a situation where, like, the oldest guy I've dated is 3 years older than me. So, even when one of my friends was hooking up with someone, like, who was 10, 15 years older than her, I was like, you're disgusting. This is literally an uncle.
An unbiased opinion on this podcast was what I was going to say. We're going to treat it with so much, like, kindness and no moral bias and nothing.
I have nothing
It's fucking
morally.
disgusting.
I actually, honestly, if there's no power dynamic and the person is genuinely hot and fun and a nice person, I don't have any bias.
Okay, fair.
Like, my only morality lies in attractiveness.
Okay.
But I do understand it's a different strokes for different folks world, and what is one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I was in like a very taboo relationship, but the guy was a lot older than me. And I think it was at a time in my life when I was so much younger and I was just starting my career out that I felt, and in retrospect, whenever I look at that relationship, I was really being manipulated to
Groomed.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Groomed, but not like, yeah, actually I was being groomed. I was being told what to read. I was being taken to places that were very outside my budget. I was being gift bombed. So it felt great.
Do you mind me asking how much older?
Above, like, more than 5 years older than.
And how old were you?
I was 22.
Okay, that's very young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 23, something like that. Yeah. So it just became very weird. And then I realized that the only way that I could get out of that relationship was when he went on a holiday that he wanted both of us to take together. And I was like, how the hell am I supposed to tell my parents that I'm going on an overseas vacation with my secret boyfriend?
Yeah.
So गोवा तक तो मैं संभाल लेती, but ये ज़्यादा हो गया था.
Thailand ज़्यादा हो गया.
And then I think when he left and when I wasn't directly under his like control was when I kind of snapped out of it and I was like, 1 second, this is a step too far. Like, he's like, genuinely, he's like, he wanted to marry me. This is just like months into the relationship and I'm just like, this is weird.
Yeah. Why are you, as a 30-year-old, spending so much time talking to a 22-year-old?
Convincing her of your life decisions.
I feel like there's a lot of, when you're like 19, 18 on the internet, you start talking to some older guy, like, and then you're like talking to him for a bit, and then you're like, wait, when did I enter this situation and I'm too deep in. But I feel online you can just like block them.
Yeah.
But was this also an offline thing? Were you all meeting as well?
Yeah, of course we were meeting.
Oh,
we were in a
that's
relationship.
Oh, you all were like properly dating.
Yeah, we were
Oh.
dating. But here's the thing, you don't feel it until you reach the age of that person, until you reach the age of the partner that's been grooming you, quote unquote, and then you're just looking at a person who's much younger and be like, what the fuck? You know?
I would never date someone that age, right? Like you feel like it's a different fucking world.
And especially gender, right? Like I feel like women can always pass off emotionally mature, but when I look as a 33-year-old at a 23-year-old guy, there's
Yeah.
nothing that doesn't make me want to wipe their face and put them in a diaper. Like I have no other feelings towards young men.
I also feel like women can pass off as mature for their age is something groomers have been grooming women with. Like, oh, you know, I feel like this is different because like you are older for your age or women mature faster. But honestly, as sheltered as we are, I don't think we matured faster than any men in our lives.
But we're always code switching. Like you're always trying your best as a woman to sound like you have your shit together, to sound mature beyond your years in a professional conversation, in an
Yeah.
emotional conversation. And so you're kind of complicit in the entire storytelling around you being perceived as more mature. But again, you can't put the blame on the victim.
The groomie.
Yeah, the groomie. It is
Yeah.
the groomer. It's
It is.
fucked up.
Yeah. I genuinely think it's just like some sort of pick me ing, right? Like you want to be like chosen as the person in the workplace to get the most work. We have this sense of like responsibility in our heads, and then like these people will be like, okay, you know, I can trust you with XYZ because you are more mature for your age. And at that age, it feels very good to hear that, like, you know, I'm able to handle this task, I'm the best employee, I'm not like other girls my age, I'm the one who's like, you know, grown up faster, because growing up comes with a lot of like, you think it comes with a lot of freedom, it comes with a lot of understanding, it comes with all of that. So at that age you see this older man or woman and you're like, okay, this person knows that I'm more mature. But as a fucking 20-year-old, you're so delusional that you need someone to tell you to shut the fuck up and sit in a corner, and anyone enabling you and going like, no, trust me, you and me, marriage next year. It's like so scary to think of, like, if as a almost 29-year-old, it's so scary to think of a 21-year-old falling for someone 30. You know what I'm saying? But men are like, legal, nah. Like, whatever. I don't know. But even women, like, there's some women that are also, you see a lot of these, like, teachers having relationships with these boys, you know, these 15-year-olds, these 16-year-olds. And in the boy's head, it doesn't, like, at that age, it doesn't feel like abuse because they, like, get bragging rights or whatever, because men are also shaped to be like, the more women you fuck is better, the more women you can, like, you know, like, convince to be with you, you're like a hotter guy, you're like so cool. But it's so dumb, because that's also some sort of like, if as soon as your social worth is dependent on being with someone this much older, it puts you in some sort of power imbalance.
Okay, tangentially, my flopcon.
Please.
My flopcon is an internet trend, and if you've been chronically online the way I have, you have come across this trend where people are putting up firstly a baby photo of themselves saying something from their childhood like, Rohan मुझे मत मारो, ma'am Rohan मुझे मार रहा है, and then it comes to like some really thirst trappy photo of you in your adult life and you're like, और मारो Rohan. Just like, yuck, the internet is so broken. Ew. And they have gotten really gross. There are some about like, मेरे ऊपर white sauce like, yuck. And why are you okay with putting this image out? Firstly, okay, what you do as an adult is your thing, but putting an innocent child version of yourself with that caption,
did not consent to this.
Yuck.
But those videos have been doing very well.
I know they
I'm
have.
just watching them and like, a little part of me dies every time because what the fuck is going on?
And my question is like, I am in content. So if I have tattoos on my arms, if I, drink for work, that's part of my job. But if I'm entering a corporate setup and my social media profile is talking about sexual innuendos that have new meanings in my adult life, I wonder if that has any repercussion on like your workplace.
Your digital footprint is extremely important, but I feel like, at this 2021 age, you're like, everyone's just trying to kill my vibe. No one gets me. Like, all these, like, corporate people, yada, yada. So, everyone's like your enemy, and you're just participating in a harmless trend. But it's so like when you go into the workplace, like you're fucking like also like a lot of these older people in workplaces are unfortunately very sneezy. They do the snooting, they do the stalking, and then they'll find all this, and then in their head you just become that kind of person, and it sucks that you have to police yourself, but bring back little bit shame because what the fuck, like there's you can argue about like, oh, the freedom to post whatever you want, but
It doesn't age well.
it doesn't like you will only cringe at this. Like if the other thing that I wasn't able to get behind only because I've been targeted on the internet when I was quite young was the Sabrina Carpenter oh my god trend. The I get
Yeah, but what was the trend?
it's they put their head down and then there's
Oh
one
yeah,
shot.
yeah, and then someone pulls
Yeah,
you
yeah,
up
yeah.
like you've just.
No one pulls you
Oh.
up, but like you go down and then you're like upside down and then you come back
Oh,
up
right,
and
right,
that's
right.
the
Yeah, yeah,
transition.
correct.
So, like if the internet was girls only, I would be like, what an amazing trend. But every time I saw a girl do that, I was scared for their like safety. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Even this like whole, I don't know if you've seen those trends where they use a belt to do transitions, like this belt bondage dance. Don't know if
I've
I'm
not
doing
seen
it
the
well.
transition, but I've seen the dance.
Or the slapping meat.
Yeah, the people that slap meat on the internet for a living, right? And you know what? That is actually a tier one, like, like a South Bombay taboo or something. Your digital footprint, like, a lot of these South Bombay people that I know, they will be scared to take a girl or a guy to their parents if they have a very like rampant digital footprint, which is I think more in the arranged marriage setup. But you can definitely see from like their conversation that they're stressed if a girl or a guy makes a lot of these reels and all of
Yeah,
that.
because content creation is like new money core. you
Yeah.
know? And people, like the beauty of content creation is that you can be anywhere, you can be any person, and if the content gods are shining down on you, you're a millionaire.
That's true.
And
So,
on the other side is like these like extremely
stuck up South, like those like generational where the dada is still handling the money. Now, how is this grandkid supposed to go and be like, this is my partner, and this partner is slapping pieces of chicken on the internet and calling them good girl and shit? Like, it's so difficult. It's a hard
तो आप
sell.
क्या करते क्या हो बेटा? Just like
And half these fucking dadas are vegetarian. So meat is a separate problem. The sexualization is a
खाती
separate
नहीं है
problem.
बस मारती है. Just like
It's worse.
any flop cons on your
My flopcon is unfortunately, I have gotten very, very invested in Splitsvilla. I'm obsessed. Yesterday, the episode was 30 minutes late and I was dying. I started watching a previous season because the last season I watched of Splitsvilla was season 2. And now I don't know how, because the reels they kept showing up on my feed and someone threw chai on someone's face and everything. So I had to watch. I'm all caught up. I hate I hate that I'm so invested. I don't like anyone, and frankly, it's quite a boring season. But I'm invested.
every Splitsvilla season is a boring season. Every edit is a boring edit, but they're really good at like breadcrumbing you to watch the entire season.
Yeah.
And I've told you, and everyone knows this about me, that the only celebrity that can get me starstruck is a Splitsvillain. every time I have entered someone's birthday, I have entered some part of Bombay where there's an event and I see a Splitsvillain, my throat starts like drying up. I start sweating. I'm like,
Like, how do I say hi?
yeah, how do I say hi? And how do it's like, how do I tell them that I know everything about their beef with Nilesh on the show? Like,
And I thought you were fully capping about this. Cut to Lollapalooza. I was at the Budweiser lounge and my friends were talking to these two girls. And I met them, whatever. One girl, I've recognized, I'm trying to rack my brain. Who is she? Who is she? And it clicks that she was a contestant on Temptation Island. I'm a couple of shots down and I'm like, bro, are you XYZ from Temptation Island? She's like, yeah. And I've gone, I love you. Like, you are my absolute fucking favorite. And my boyfriend is icked out. You can see on his face, he's like, okay, Sakshi, relax. And she was like, and then I've fully forgotten that people might recognize me as a person also. I'm telling my boyfriend, I'm like, you don't understand. She's really famous. You really don't understand. She's really famous. And he's like, okay. And then like he looks her up after and he was like, you realize she's like not that famous, right? I was like, you don't get it. Like, I was telling him the lore, and he was like, no one gives a rat's ass apart from you. But she's an amazing human. I love her.
before we get into the episode further, should we end with like popcorns? And then we
I
can.
was racking my brain for a popcorn. Okay,
Yeah.
like I was sitting on this exact couch before the camera said action, racking my brain for a popcorn, and unfortunately, my mind is drawing a blank.
Sakshi's had a very, very difficult week. Everything that had to go wrong has
Week
gone
after
wrong.
week.
Oh, wait, sorry. Actually, I wanted to ask you. There's a conspiracy theory that because we messed with spirits in the
Yeah.
Desi Crime episode, something has happened spiritually to you.
What? I didn't even mess with the spirits, and if the spirits are so sensitive, then they would have been like gone a while ago. I don't think spirits are so sensitive. This is a very new construction building. I don't think there's that many spirits. Yo.
My popcorn is that I've been really getting into doing more offline events and more in my speed. So last week I did this panel on saris, and I realized it's been the first time in a long time that I haven't been sitting on a couch with Sakshi talking about my feelings, and I was like sweating. I was dying. I was like, what if they ask me something and I just like my mouth goes dry. I don't know. I have so much comfort being here with you and I can spill my entire life with you. But like when I'm around other people, it's just a big adjustment.
I feel like also for us, so the thing is, when you're a content creator and you have these panels and all, a lot of money goes behind it. And when you call a guest, which would be you, now we've been on the receiving end where the guest has been absolutely giving nothing, and you're like calculating in your head how much money is being wasted on this fucking episode. So I think you don't want to be that person.
Maybe. But I just like, I want to take my work wife wherever I go, you know. Like,
Me?
Yeah.
And I don't leave the house.
Yeah, so it's really hard. But this week, actually, by the time this episode would have come out, I'm facilitating this talk on female friendship at the Kala Ghoda festival with two authors, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
It's like so different from the formats that we're used to. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And as you know, Sakshi has started a book club.
I have started a book club, and in the vein of offline events, yesterday this new trend that's been started of everyone in Mumbai is booking a yacht to do some sort of workout. So yesterday, actually, I went with this brand called Boutier. It was an open event. I just paid and went. It's not like they invited me, but on this yacht in the middle of the Arabian Sea. You could still see Taj and everything. The boat was parked. It was kind of wobbly. But doing yoga in the sun on a Sunday morning in these cute, like they gave us these butter yellow sets and everything to wear. They had some matcha on board. It was like a very nicely curated experience. I think the brand gets content from doing this, and we all get like a fun experience that we get to talk about on our respective podcasts. But it was actually really cute. I feel like I'm gonna end up doing more such like events, but apparently everyone who's been doing these yacht events has been booking the same yacht.
Oh.
So this guy, I think Abhishek Gandhi from All You Can Move started it with a yoga class only on this yacht, and then that same guy's number has been circulated. That guy doesn't have to be there. It's a docked fucking yacht, and everyone is going there and making content, and that guy's minting money. And my friend and I were like, let's just buy a yacht.
Let's buy a yacht.
Let's buy a yacht.
Should we buy a yacht with our Moss riches?
There's a Reddit thread
I do know there's a Reddit thread.
asking about our income, and everyone's convinced it's generational wealth. Can I please tell you something really embarrassing I did yesterday? So on that Reddit thread, there was someone who claimed to know, like, my parent, okay? And I went into their Reddit account. They had posted their Kundli, and the name was redacted, but their date of birth and place of birth was mentioned. So I messaged my dad and I'm like, do you know anyone who lives in this city? He was like, who has a daughter. So he was like, I knew this guy in the 80s. This is his name. I know he has a daughter. I don't know anything else about his daughter. Then I found this guy. I found his wife. I found his daughter. And then I was like, now how do I figure out her date of birth? Now, her handle was like, say, XYZ3. And the date of birth was 3 something. So I was like, okay, this is the girl who's claiming to know me. But my dad has not spoken to, I guess not met her dad in like 40 years. And I'm like, how has it come up that her dad knows my dad and then kind of claiming to know me and confirming that I do not have generational wealth
Thank you so much.
in 3 minutes? You're shocked.
I am shocked. No, I was like trying to think. I think, the budget came out yesterday and
Yeah.
it was a whopping meh. And the one thing that we are pushing for in this country are we're backing up content creation as a sector. Now,
That's cool.
lovely. But my question is, number one, most people in content creation, like content creation is a very classist field. And especially if you're in front of the camera and you're trying to make money off of it, it is extremely class and caste specific.
You
whether
think so?
100%.
In fact, I thought I think like Bollywood is classist. I think all of those things are like, where even like a trans character is being played by a cis person. But content creation, anyone can pick up a camera and make content.
Anyone can pick up a camera and make content, but the people that are monetizing off short form content
Yeah.
are inevitably in a larger quantity people from like higher classes, because you have access to a super Western format. So most content is made against a white background, is made like brands want you to dress a certain way. They want you
You're
to look
saying
a
the
certain kind of
aesthetics are
Yeah,
classist. Yeah.
if the aesthetics are classist, then the access to those aesthetics also make the creators classist,
yeah.
right?
But that's only you're talking about brand deals specifically.
But how else would a content creator make money from short form?
So I think when you do like content and when you cater to a tier 2, tier 3 crowd, you get a lot more numbers. So then it makes more sense to go into long form content.
But again, how do you do that? It's not that simple. Like most of the women or men who come on our feed who are tier 2 and tier 3 creators, them getting brand deals is like a one-off, and the competition even between them to be the one person that the brand decides, okay, I want to back this person up, is so tight. And how do you help that person scale from short form to long form? It's such a nuanced way of looking at content. I don't think just by starting like content creation classes of, okay, this is how you edit, this is how you this thing, this is how you do that, it'll really make a difference.
Actually, I don't think that anyone needs classes on how to edit or anything. I think it's especially like Instagram and everything, they make it very like intuitive on how to edit with apps. So I don't think that's the problem, because all these creators that are creating from like smaller towns, smaller cities, across classes, across castes, are getting good numbers. So I don't think that creating the content is inherently classist or casteist.
No.
I think it's brands are kind of catering to a buying crowd, would you say?
Yeah.
So, but there are actually their brand deals, surprise, don't come up on our feeds.
Maybe.
Because there's a lot of FMCG products. Misho, which I met the Misho founder at an event recently, and he was telling me about how many pin codes are in the city and how they like work with creators across pin codes and everything. Even in Bombay, for example, only 1% of creators are actually making money. Now, that 1% of creators, because there's a lot of creators now, is what you all end up seeing. But I don't think that content creation can be singled out as being casteist. I think the entire country is casteist.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
yeah.
I'm
So-
saying, what's the point? Like, if you are being skilled to make content, but you can't monetize off it, then what is the point of upskilling?
But I don't think everyone's doing content for business. I think there's a lot of reasons to do content. One can be just that you want to show people how your life looks, because as a Bombay person or a Delhi person sitting in like this studio, how are you supposed to know the plight of anyone living in a village unless like we can speculate for days like, oh, casteism is abolished, this is abolished, that is abolished. But now when I open Instagram and there's someone from a village telling me that actually you are in a tier 1 bubble and this is not abolished and I am facing it, I'm more aware. Or like, you know, the discourse has become more democratic rather than like 3 English speaking people talking in one room about what's happening in a village. Now the villagers are telling us, shut the fuck up, this is what's actually happening. We don't need y'all to come and like feel bad for us or anything. This is my life. This is how I live. And eventually as they get reached, because so I've been doing content for 6 years. It is now becoming a more organized sector. And I genuinely think that everyone can have a piece of the pie once brands start, like the more like the budget is allocated for content creation, then brands start taking a risk with content creators. Also, I've been seeing a lot of like, okay, why are brands still working with this person? They've been seeing like, this person can convert to sales rather than brand awareness. So I will work with this creator. But then tomorrow, if brands are like, okay, we have to use content creation for brand awareness, then I'm not looking at XYZ creator doesn't have a buying audience. I'm looking at XYZ creator can give me 10 million eyeballs and they will know my brand. Usme se how many ever people buy is not the point, because my objective is not converting to sales. My objective is brand awareness. So I think with everything.
Okay. I feel like it's a very slow trickle down.
No, but this is a faster trickle down than any other industry, I feel, because of access to the internet getting cheaper. You know,
Okay.
I mean, there's no
yeah.
right or wrong.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like different opinions. I'm saying the Blinkit guy would have never gotten anything. So even though it is a slow, I'm not saying it's the fastest trickle down. I understand that like there's all these brands that are like, oh, look at us, we're so fun for like collabing with the Prashant guy. But that person is not a prop. Or like Farah Khan doing content with Dilip. Now, Dilip's career trajectory has changed. Now, obviously, Farah Khan will always be more privileged because she started from a place of privilege compared to Dilip. But Dilip's life is also getting better through content creation. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that, like, and there's like.
But again, Dilip's life is getting better through content creation because he's being like, what do you call it? Because of the contrast between the privilege that he's surrounded by and him being like one person in that situation. But if Dilip was a random person in the country making content in some like XYZ village, he wouldn't have risen. Like
that.
the person giving him access is also someone of great privilege.
But I'm saying there's a lot of content creators that have done so much with content creation that they would never have been able to do if it wasn't for a, like, say I want to be an actor. Yesterday, I would have had to like go to a Dharma or a YRF, stand in line. Now I'm like, I can be like a Hamza who takes my phone, makes content, makes it my audition reel, and then from there I go forward and maybe get an acting role, get brand deals, like where things will happen slowly. I feel like as the sector gets more organized, but earlier there was no way for these people that wanted to be on camera to kind of have a platform. Now, content creation has given them a platform. How to monetize it? This field is still very in their early stage, I think. And I do think that at the end of the day, yeah, privilege will come up, because tomorrow, even if suppose someone from a tier 3 city, even if they want to be a not tier 3 city, someone from not a privileged background socio-economically, even if they want to become a content creator, maybe they can't afford the same thing as us, where we can spend 4 hours making one reel, go to bed, wake up, and my mom has food. All we can do is acknowledge the privilege. Here, at least they're getting a platform, you know.
What I understand is what you're saying is that at least there's access being created.
Yeah.
And then where it has to go will make sense depending on how strong this industry becomes.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming to topic at hand.
The biggest taboo will always be dating a content creator.
Okay, I got some stories. I'll
Yes.
do one and then you do one, okay? I am a South Bombay girl, soon going to marry my partner from a small village in Rajasthan.
Hot.
I'll be moving in with his elderly parents since he's an only child and runs a family business that can't be relocated. It was a practical and not an emotional decision. Our families are financially similar, but some of my relatives have been extremely classist and judgmental about his family's lifestyle, language, and dressing. Ironically, his village raised family strongly values education and women's rights. His mother is a feminist. Meanwhile, my so called modern relatives remain patriarchal. I know blending two different worlds won't be easy, but instead of support, I keep hearing that ये तो 4 दिन में घर वापस आ जाएगी, or that I'm downgrading my life. I don't know what the future holds, and I'm just hoping for a little bit of kindness.
I feel like that is I know a lot of people from like Mumbai and Delhi who are also looking in an arranged marriage setup, that are like, we will never be able to move to a smaller city. But I love that like, I'm pretty sure the South Bombay girl is doing the small village in Rajasthan. It's just Jaipur. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, but thoughts.
My thoughts are that, okay, so like genuinely, education is the one thing that can help like upward mobilize. So I can understand if her immediate family that she's moving into is her mother-in-law is feminist, because she's been very alive to the problems faced by women
Yeah.
around her, or she might have had to make huge adjustments, and Rajasthani culture is inherently very patriarchal. So I can understand why she would be more alive to it, whereas her own parents in South Bombay, her entire family in South Bombay, when you're already in such an urban setup, you don't really have to feel the conflicts of like gender tension or like societal like
You're in a
gaps in
bubble,
power.
yeah.
So either way, marriage is difficult. Either way, moving cities is difficult. And of course, there'll be a huge adjustment to move from South Bombay to Rajasthan. But if you're getting a good vibe from your in-laws and you feel like they see you for who you are outside of being your future husband's wife, then I don't think that it's a bad idea.
But I also do understand the concern of her relatives, because it seems like a practical decision for your partner, right? So it's like, however feminist it is, technically his career is being prioritized over yours, because you know, you can be like, okay, I can work from anywhere, like, but my partner needs to be in the city that his factory is set up in, the village that his factory is set up in. But also, you're underestimating the need for your social fulfillment.
Life to be
your-
robust.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much access that we have living in big cities, that even when you go on vacation for more than 5 days, you're so confused as to why everything shuts early, why, especially Bombay, for instance. Every time I leave Bombay to visit any other Indian town or city or village, I'm like, what do you mean I cannot walk outside the house by myself? What do you mean I can't like go for a jog in like a
pair of
t-shirt and
shorts,
leggings
yeah.
or some shit like that. And that honestly for me is such a big adjustment because I've never had to think about these things, that it makes me kind of quake in my boots a little bit. Like the even if like everyone inside my four walls is like a feminist, is a safe space, is all of that, how many people can I educate in one lifetime? And how much do I unconditionally love someone to
Make this adjustment.
make that adjustment?
100%. 100%. Yeah. I think I was thinking about the other day, now that I've gotten so accustomed to being in Mumbai, and my own like safeguards have come down and the walls that I keep up have come down. It's like, how the hell? There are many times when I'm stepping out at night, even now, where I've always like double check, and I'm always looking and I'm checking who's in the car next to me, and I'm trying not to make eye contact with any other vehicle at night. And I'm like, this is such a Delhi thing. I don't
Yeah.
know if like the girls in Bombay even think about it at all.
Yeah, I feel like when the two of us are together, I can fully see a contrast in how unaware I am of like, safety breaches or anything, but which is something you've had to think about for a really long time. So I think going from like you're underestimating those needs. I understand kindness should be expected from relatives, but older people, I hate their delivery, okay? Like, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, this is such a rude thing to say. But if your daughter or your son is doing this decision and you can see your priorities and you can see how you've raised them and what safety you've provided them, and they are obviously of their own volition doing something that is like fighting everything you have like tried to protect them from, they're like jumping into that situation. I see like the bluntness and the like, तेरे से नहीं होगा, वापस आ जाएगी, like obviously
तो आ जाए वापस, ठीक है, उसको
That's
कोशिश तो
true.
करने दो यार. Like that's where I'm coming from. Like how can you think your children are so fucking nazuk if you've raised them with such moral fabric and they're so strong and they totally are like parampara pratishtha and etc etc. She'll do really well. Just let her fucking be.
no one has raised their kids to be tough.
My parents have raised me to
Only-
be tough.
Bro,
Okay.
no South Bombay person
Yeah,
has
yeah.
raised their kids. We were discussing this on the car ride here, where like, literally a South Bombay person dating someone from Andheri thinks they're like in their own like, mom, dad, you don't get it. Like, like they genuinely think they're like,
That we are Konkana.
Yeah.
And they are Ranbir.
Literally, like whether like cigarette smoking, like tattoo dripped out women, and they are like the
Bro, one of my boyfriends, literally, he has looked at me and he's like, when you eat with your hand, it's so cool. He's like, मैं भी हाथ से खाऊंगा. I was like, yeah, this can't be your coming of age. I don't want to be the woman who introduces you to just being a fucking human and not a child.
one of my boyfriends was like, I love going to Sakshi's house. It's like being back in college. I was like, why? It's like, you live by yourself. I was like, okay.
We are not your fun city. Like this is not your SL world. I don't want to be someone's roller coaster, that you're allowed to ride without your parents. That didn't come out right.
That's so hard.
But to end that last thing, moms, you guys need to fucking figure your shit out, because when you're talking to your children, especially to your like daughters, every mom tries to be like, either your mom's like, ye mat kar. Or
Yeah.
now the roundabout of like, oh, wo to meri baat hi nahi sunti is, I think that this thing will go wrong. But you do your thing. तुम decide करो, तुम्हारे हाथ में है. You've grown up. You do your thing. This is the one thing that causes the most tension in your daughter's head, when you tell them that you essentially don't stand by their decision, but it's their decision at the end of the day. Do you
Like-
feel that? Like, I feel that with my mother, and I've discussed it with my friends. They're like, to the minute my mom says anything even gently to me, she's like, oh, I don't think your hair looks nice this way. Even if she said it casually, it's like stuck in my head. And I can't rest until I fix it.
I think my mom does a pretty good job at like not commenting on my physical appearance, or the only thing she has a problem with is like my language when because swear a lot, and fully that she has a problem with my father also. But my mom does a really good job of not letting her insecurities or her fears come in the way of me leading my life. I don't know if my sister has a separate experience because I'm also like, I think my mom appreciates my confidence into doing things, and like my if I fuck up, I'm very aware that I fucked up. I don't try to back my decision. I'm very like, it's time to go home and say I fucked up.
Yeah.
So I think that she's like, at least she'll come to me if she's fucked up, so let her do whatever. My father, on the other hand, I then feel like he's the one who'll be like, "You didn't go to the parlor today," and I'm like, "Hey, I can see your ugly clothes." Okay, my friend is dating someone who is 12 years older than us. I'm a 25-year-old MBA student in New York, and one of my close friends, also 25, is dating a 37-year-old man who is our classmate. I'm someone who has always been against age gap relationship, but seeing this has made me question the stigma. For starters, you'd never guess his age. He looks and acts like he's in his 20s, not in a creepy way. He's just very young looking and with the times kind of dude. He's pursuing his MBA now because he spent the last few years taking care of his sick parents, who have since passed away, and now he's trying to get his life on track. My friend is also very mature. She's the eldest child. She grew up quickly because she helped her single mom raise her two younger siblings. There's a 12-year age gap, but when you see them together, it's completely unnoticeable. I used to think a relationship like this would feel predatory, but with them it doesn't. They're genuinely happy and planning to get married. It's given me a different perspective on age gap relationships.
So scientifically, there was a study that said that actually men, when they like are with a younger partner, they live longer.
Yeah.
Women with a partner their own age live longer. But in general, both genders, as you grow older, prefer to be with younger people. So even like women in their 70s reported that they would rather be with like a 68-year-old,
Oh.
you know. But the men
And
were
men
like
in the
25.
25.
Yeah. I don't think every age gap relationship is inherently wrong. But I think it depends on what age you meet the person at.
I also think it depends on where you are in your life. Like, these two people are literally classmates, so there's no power imbalance. I think where it gets kind of murky is when like it's a 25-year-old student with a 40-year-old teacher.
Suppose there's a 10-year age gap between me and my partner. Everything that we do together, there will always be a power imbalance. Like, even my friends would be in their mid-level jobs right now, but his friends might all be like captains of industry doing something at a much senior position. So the network is stronger, the sense of authority is stronger. Then just by virtue of them being around in the world longer, they will inherently say that, oh, I have a better idea and perspective of this.
So I think mid-level job and like, for sure there's a power imbalance there, but is that power imbalance coming in the way of your survival? Like, are you still financially independent? Maybe you can't afford to fly, like go to the same places as him or whatever, but does he have financial control over your lives? Is he policing how you act around his friends, or are they coming in the way of your career in any specific way? I think if you're like financially independent, I think if you have your own social circle, that's kind of, to sound things off of. I think if he's not isolating you, and I'm using he very gender neutrally actually. But all of those metrics, I think you have to basically don't get trapped in a situation where you're isolated and you can't leave, and this person's not primarily dating you because you are young.
Younger, yeah. Like, is their track record that they've always dated younger, or does it happen to be the one time that you are with them is the time that they've kind of stepped outside their dating
Yeah.
age group?
I actually know someone who started dating like a 31-year-old when she was 18, I think. And they ended up dating for like 10 years. And the guy was like absolutely batshit. She finally ended up leaving him when he cheated on her 5 years into the relationship with an 18-year-old. And she kind of realized how young, even as a 24-year-old, how young 18 felt to her at the time. And she was like, okay, this guy is fucking disgusting. He's gross. And that's when she ended up leaving him. Now, a 30-year-old dating an 18-year-old is, it might be legal, but it's still like
Absolutely
yucky.
fucking gross.
Yeah.
What do you think of, and this happens more rampantly in men's lives than it does in women's, but when your parents get divorced and your dad shows up with a much younger woman.
I think that's a little effed up. Like, what's the age gap between like your child and your new partner that's acceptable?
What, 20 years?
20 years is good, yeah.
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 Anything lower than that is just, it's odd.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay,
Like, I'll be scared to bring my friends around the house.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even the whole thing of like Donald Trump finding his own daughter very attractive and saying that he would date her if
Yeah.
he wasn't her father is extremely gross. But I feel like when parents are doing that, one, it's stemming from a midlife crisis. And two, it's like then you are outsourcing your midlife crisis to this young person. You know, because you're like, oh, you're not like my wife. My wife was so serious all the time. She had so many like burdens and emotional baggage. Yeah, because you might have been insufferable to live with and she was raising your fucking
wa-
kids. She
yeah.
was probably working and doing like domestic help and everything.
I actually know someone who ended up cheating on his wife with someone 15 years younger. And he told his wife that the reason was that she didn't appreciate him anymore. She didn't compliment him. She didn't take him out for fun activities. And then eventually the wife was like, first of all, fuck off. I'm raising our 18-year-old son. I'm working. I'm all of these things. And then she was like, you know what? If you want to get divorced, you are taking the son with you. And then let's see how much of your romance is thriving when my son wants to.
100%. So we are trying, both of us are trying very actively to live by the 777 rule
What's-
of romance.
Are we?
Are we not?
I don't know what the
thought we were-
7-7 rule
Oh,
is.
okay. The 777 rule of romance is that every 7 days you go on a date, every 7 weeks you go on a night away, and every 7 months you go on a holiday. So you have to, no matter what you're doing with your partner, prioritize the romance in your relationship. It can't just happen if you're living together because there's always domestic shit in the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think subconsciously I'm doing this, but I hadn't
Thought about it.
I didn't know about this 7-7 thing. Dude, fuck everything. You know, we were discussing a lot of people, when they have kids, they start, like, the mom ends up sleeping with the child in a separate room and the dad ends up sleeping separately because the dad goes to work and he needs his 8 hours of sleep. I was discussing this with these new parents. And the dad goes like, yeah, but if I'm at 80% inefficiency at work, at the most, my boss is going to be frustrated with me. He's going to understand that I have a baby at home. But if my wife is operating at 80% efficiency, my child may not live through the day. So it's more important for my wife to have good, like the parent who is
taking
taking
care
care
of the
of this
newborn.
newborn who can't take care of themselves to have restful sleep. So, fuck all.
Isn't it cool how Sakshi and I have like reached this new level of baseline awareness?
What
Mothers have
happened?
feelings, relationships suffer, and many other such truths.
We always had this baseline awareness. We just chose to act dumb, I swear.
One of the spaces where I've seen the most age gap relationships, though I don't have any like authority to comment on, is like in the queer community there's a predisposition to having a lot of age gap relationships, whether you're gay or lesbian. I don't know about like pansexuals, bisexuals, etc. Please comment down below because we would like to know your experience. But I guess what some people have put it on is that when you come out of the closet, there's often times that you have to fight your own family over it. So it's always nice to have someone who's like a mentor, or they kind of fill that kind of ache in you that your parents never could fill. So they end up in these like mentor mentee, older gay, younger gay relationships.
Okay. A lot of the gay people I know in relationships are actually very similar in age. But I think what ends up happening, and I think obviously those are inherently for most people taboo relationships, even if their parents would agree. A lot of queer people in India obviously have a fear that their parents won't agree, so they don't end up even broaching the subject. And obviously, they continue to have relationships, but they have that fear of their parents finding out. A lot of people in India, at least, I'm sure abroad as well, they get married to women or men and they are queer, you know? So that becomes obviously then that becomes cheating and taboo, and like you're ruining basically everyone's
people's lives.
life. But I also think what happens with the age gap is when you meet fellow queer people, especially when you're not out, and they end up being older than you, you're like, how my dating pool is limited because I'm not actively going out, right? So I know this gay person happens to be 10 years older, but I get along with them. Let me explore things with this. And then obviously, once you expand your dating pool, you do find like in our parents' age, everyone was marrying like their neighbor or someone's son or someone's daughter. Now everyone's swiping all over the world. So I think the more you grow your dating pool, the further away your soulmate lives. Is my theory.
That's a very, it's a very specific theory.
What are the odds that
Never
your
heard it
soulmate lived in your building?
Fair.
Has
No,
to
but
be on Hinge.
I know two different guys who were forced back, like pushed back into the closet because they came from extremely trad business families where even their own siblings would not be able to digest the fact that
Yeah.
they're gay.
Dude, my friend went for one of his friend's weddings, and he's an NRI, so he hadn't met the friend's fiance before. He goes like on their cocktail, excited to meet his friend's fiance for the first time. It's someone he's hooked up with from Grindr.
Ouch.
And
That's
he
so
told
sad.
the friend after, and the friend was like, shut the fuck up. And now he's no longer friends with the friend, but he has this information. We all have this information. And the wife now is adamantly denying it. And obviously, as a queer person, my friend's not going to go and, like, you know, scream it from rooftops
Yeah.
because he understands what majboori who must be having. But it's such a sad situation overall.
I mean, I think lavender relationships are actually so great when
Both people are in the know.
Yeah, when you say pyar dosti hai, it's
Pyar.
lavender relationship. Like that's what I would love. That's the best case scenario, you know, to be with your lifelong friend, you know, to have property with your lifelong friend, to have children with your lifelong friend.
You know what I'm thinking about? This is so unrelated, but प्यार दोस्ती है from कुछ कुछ होता है, right? So there was a meme recently of Kajol in the sari from कुछ कुछ होता है with the caption, बहन कुछ देर पहले body दिखा देती तो वो किसी और से शादी नहीं करती. You know what a personal taboo would be for me?
What?
If the person I'm with is like a celebrity worshipper. Like, I could never date someone who runs like a fan page.
Okay. Tangentially, I feel really bad for a lot of celebrities who are forced again to be in the closet because it's more commercially viable to be straight or
Hey, that's
perceived
a
as
choice.
straight presenting.
That's a
no,
choice.
it's not.
If your identity for you is less important than what career opportunity you're getting,
Roti to khana hai na do time.
none of these celebrities are not getting their do time ki roti. Their father is already someone in the industry. Like, let's relax. Especially, I'm not saying like people that come from nothing clothing and all. I'm talking about the people
who
that
come
I'm
from everything.
everything. And then they want this one thing also.
Oh my god, there's this. I don't know if you guys have caught. I'm sure we all have the same YouTube algorithm also, but this one celebrity journalist from like ex Stardust Times who's been on some podcast just spilling salacious tea, like salacious tea
What
about.
did she say?
So she's like, "Oh, you think Bollywood is in sexless relationships?" I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't. But I do know Salman Khan recently won a 9 crore defamation suit against some director who's been talking, you know,
Smack about him.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw that.
yeah. He won a defamation suit. That's
Chalo.
crazy.
Okay, don't date older closeted men. I am gay and I'm into older men. This happened when I was 16. I was low key seeing a 23-year-old guy. He was my first everything, and I was so hypnotized that I ignored the fact that he was deeply confused. He was desperate to present as straight while being very gay. He never admitted his feelings, and yet I imagined a whole future with him. One day he asked me to hang out with a girl he liked and be a wingman for him. Like an idiot, I agreed. We went for a drive with the girl, and she and I instantly clicked. And I could see him getting very angry, so he started taking very sharp turns and driving rashly, giving one-word replies. Anyway, the girl and I were becoming besties and blabbering away, and he just kept getting angrier. We drove into a foggy, hilly area, and suddenly he just lost it. He slammed the car into reverse and revved, and we nearly fell off the cliff and ended up stuck sideways between the fence and the edge of a hill. Thankfully, I could make my way out of the car. I called up another friend to pick me up, and that was the last time I ever saw that crazy fucker.
That's insane. I feel like there's so much to unpack in this story. Don't date older men when you're 16. Don't date closeted men who are outward homophobes, inward closeted. Don't date people that drive rashly when they're angry or who have anger issues.
It's like that, you know, in the English exam when they give you a passage and then you have to answer stuff.
For 4 marks.
You got 4 on 4.
Dude, that's insane. I feel like that's such an underrated red flag is when, not to deviate from the question, but when they're upset, they start driving rashly. Like,
That's the scariest thing.
literally. But at 16, you have no business dating a 23-year-old. But I think it comes back to the same thing that you said about.
Yeah, because you're seeing, actually not that in this situation, he saw this guy having the life that he wanted because he
Yeah.
was very deeply unhappy and closeted. That's not
Yeah.
a life I wish on anyone. But I guess you're looking for some kind of outlet and someone who sees you for who you are.
But also, I feel like, again, the taboo kind of adds to the. When
Us against the world.
when you're in a taboo relationship, even if like you're like fucking each other's head, you're still like, it's just you and me. This is our special place. There's sides of me that no one else knows but you know. And then that kind of adds to the unhealthy attachment also. That kind of adds to the sense of like there's no one else in the world and I'm so like it's this person. So
And
you can't leave no matter what.
all 16-year-olds are toxically attached. Like, there is no way when you're 16 that you can have a very healthy relationship with the person you're in love
Yeah.
with. If you have a crush on someone, you're stalking them. You're putting up, like, stalking could just be even putting up, like, stories because they said that they were into rappers. So you freestyle rap on the internet.
Not specific.
Not specific at all. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know a lot of, like, gay friends who are in these kind of sugar dating situationships where there's an older closeted man who again has a wife and kids and they obviously are in the closet, so they keep them on a salary, they give them an apartment on rent and they just have to be their sugar baby.
But I know a lot of straight women who are in those setups also. That has nothing to do with your sexuality.
That's true.
So that older men can be like they can get off on the power of controlling someone younger with money.
Oh, to be young and
Today we
controlled.
learned. Dating married boss who promises to get divorced. I know people will judge, but I'm dating my boss, who is still married. I'm 25 and he's 50. We are madly in love. No one in the office knows yet, but we are planning to tell them after he leaves the company, which he is planning on doing soon. The thing is, his marriage has been broken for a long time, and his wife and him are staying together only for their children. This is not something I imagined for myself, and I'm not pretending it's perfect, but it's real to me, and I think this is my soulmate, and we will end up together. Who's gonna tell her?
She knows, yeah. She knows.
I also feel like the dumbest thing you can do early in your career is date your boss, because you could be smart, you could be talented, you could have everything of your own talent. But as soon as anyone finds out, which there is a very high chance that they will find out, it will come with you throughout your career. No matter where you go, it kind of follows you. And then everything you've achieved of your own merit, people start going like, she just sleeps her way to the top. And unfortunately, even women that are just existing in the workplace are accused of that. So perpetuating a stereotype that has plagued an entire generation of independent women is really, you are basically hampering one layer of feminism. And he's not going to leave his wife.
He's not leaving his wife. I also want to know what a 50-year-old could say to a 25-year-old. That would be so exciting.
Here's money for an iPhone.
That's quite exciting. That is
An
quite exciting.
iPad. If my boss got me an iPad, I would be so happy.
Because genuinely, in this new age where everyone is more attracted to people that they are algorithmically connected to, I would get the ick if my boss sent me like some outdated fucking meme or a WhatsApp forward. It would be the end.
Firstly, I have to disagree with that, because there is something to dating someone who is not chronically online, because you make a reference and they're like, what's that? And then you explain vocab to them and they think you're so cool for coming up with it when you didn't come up with it.
Question. Does this only feel hot when the person is your own age?
For me, nothing feels hot if the person is not my age.
So you want this 50-year-old man to be a Rizzler and like fucking...
Can I please say on relationship advice, I said I'm dating a slightly older man. I just went like, I'm 29, he's 30.
Ittusa.
Like, and I just watched it back and my mom was like, how old is he? And I was like, he's actually just 30. And she was like, why have you said you're dating an older man? I just went like 30.
What about my fucking relationship where his Wikipedia age is 27? I'm in some fucking sugar dating relationship that I don't even know I'm in.
And you're the sugar mommy.
Yeah, I don't want to be. But tax slabs
What do you mean?
in the
Dating?
budget.
What? Why are we? You know, I opened the group chat in the morning. There's this one group we have where we discuss content ideas for the podcast. And Naina and Ashna are like, we have to bring up the budget in today's episode. We really have. And I was like, for the life of me, I couldn't understand why the fuck we have to bring up the
We
budget.
don't, I mean, we just acknowledge it. Like, budget.
The budget.
happens.
Hey, remember the budget? It's
But
out.
You have that.
Out and proud.
This is a creative exercise, okay? Can you open your phone? I don't have my phone
yeah.
next to me. There's a screenshot of all the things that have become costlier and more money has been poured into. What does it say about where our country is going? Is my question to you for 6 marks.
Why is it a question
It's a
to me?
creative question. It's not an actual, you have to tell me where the country is going.
Okay. What gets cheaper? What gets costlier?
What gets cheaper? No one has even heard of these items. So let's go to what
Okay.
gets costlier.
Non-disclosure of movable assets.
Of course.
Income tax misreporting, penalty equal to 100% of the tax amount.
Okay.
Stock options and futures trading.
Okay.
Coal.
Coal.
Coffee and vending machines.
They're coming for us. They are single-handedly coming for Bandra-ites.
None of this.
Coal, matcha,
Foreign education is getting cheaper. Cameras, TVs, microwaves, energy transition equipment.
microwaves are getting cheaper because dual-income households are growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's getting...
So you have more money and less to spend
Yeah.
on. So they're not coming for us.
Yeah, they're not coming for
Yeah.
us. But
India is a rising middle class nation, and last year was the first time there was some sort of benefits to the middle class in the budget. And last year's budget, if I remember right, had a lot of like they changed the income tax levels and all of that. Like now, I think the tax slabs have increased. Like up until 10 lakhs of income, I think you don't have to pay tax. This
But-
one has come to talk about something important now, guys. Let her
taboo
talk.
relationship. No, but the cool thing is, I think they've opened. There's a mandate to open girls' hostels,
Oh,
right?
where? Just in life, there's a mandate.
I just read the bullet
Everyone
point.
needs to open a girls' hostel.
This is what happens when you read Faye D'Souza's updates. There's no follow-up. Defense. They're paying more. The budgets are up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like they more defense budget allocation means more.
More war. Baba Vanga was right. By the
Baba
way,
Vanga
she's dead. She's been dead since 1996.
So they're really good, right? She predicted for 2025 in 96.
But you didn't even know this, so why were you so excited when you came with this info? I thought on Jan 1st, a committee fucking sat with Baba Vanga and asked about this discourse. Rest in peace.
The octopus is still alive.
What?
The future predicting
The
octopus.
Paul the octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever, bro. How does an octopus predict the future?
I just read the head. He also died. Everyone's dying. Who knows about the future, guys? Comment down below if you know anyone who knows anything that's happening in the next 10 years.
Or anything that's happening in the budget this year.
Yeah.
Or just anything, period. And we will.
Oh! Period. Women's health.
What about
so
it?
they're removing tax from sanitary napkins and stuff.
Journey?
Yeah.
That's a good day for us.
Yeah.
They're removing. Overseas tourism is getting cheaper.
But it's packages. So does that mean I have to take my mom everywhere I go?
Yeah.
What about the solo traveler?
Cancer drugs are getting cheaper.
I guess
Which is a
that's
great thing.
Popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that means more people are getting cancer, which is not a great thing.
But people were already getting cancer. More people had to pay for expensive treatment. More people will be cured of cancer.
Sorry, I've been shot too close to the
Sorry.
heart.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. No, if they could be cured, 3 people in my family would be alive and kicking today. But
This budget should have come out a few years earlier.
yeah, what to do?
Better late than never.
Yeah. But hello, what about air pollution? No one cares about us choking and dying.
That's literally the truth. I have been knocked over and over again by this AQI. So you make air cleaner rather than everything cheaper. So upset about this pollution.
Okay. Now that we've covered the budget, let's move forward into
Thank God. What do you think of financial gap relationships?
financial gap relationships are good for a fling. Tried and tested. It's good. For like a 1 month short fling, you're being like you're being taken around the world, you're being fed all the foods that you want, you're like getting all these fun gifts.
Both ways, you think financial gap relationships don't work?
No.
Like, even if the guy is richer, even if the girl is richer.
Yeah. Because
And-
it's forcing you into a imbalanced dynamic, no? Don't you think?
No, I agree. But I think that like rich men don't only date within their financial class,
Yeah.
but rich women only date within their financial class.
I think rich women have side pieces that are outside their financial class.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, a lot of women I know were cheating with like
Their gym trainer.
their gym trainer, their like
Like
gym
genuinely.
trainer.
so many of a lot of the gym trainers that I met, they all were decked out with like the latest gadgets and everything. And I'm like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And he's like, my client.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Damn.
The end.
We have different gym trainers.
Okay.
But yeah. What do you think about fitness gap?
अब तो तुम इन्वेंट कर रहे हो.
Now that ये podcast ही सब
चल
invented
ठीक है
है.
ठीक है. देखो अगर तुम एक एज गैप रिलेशनशिप में हो जहाँ पे it would benefit you if your partner died early.
Dude,
Then
I know someone, she was like, whatever, banished from some society because she ran away for some, to study or something. She ended up marrying this 85-year-old man as a 20-year-old hottie. And he had a lot of money, no heirs. Before he died, she gave him a son. Now, as of today, she is 60. The son is around like whatever age, like 40. And she is part of high society. She's got these like really nice houses all across the city. And she admits that she made a few good moves and popped out a son, and her life was sorted. I love women's survival stories.
oh, can you tell them the one that you read this morning in the Uber?
There's a woman in Meerut, okay. She called the authorities, the police and the civic authorities. She was like, someone is stuck in this drain next to her house. So for 3 hours, the authorities cleaned this drain and then no one was stuck inside. And then turns out she just really needed that drain cleaned because it was blocked for months. And this was the only way someone could come and clean it. And I don't think that's a wastage of resources. I think the civic authorities were doing nothing and they got something to do. So shout out Meerut woman. Are you clapping? I'm a 26-year-old Jain woman and my boyfriend is Sindhi. My parents, sibling and whole family refuses to approve of our relationship and won't let us get married. My father is a temple trustee and says that our community will never approve because his position makes it impossible. My partner and his parents are also vegetarian, which is a huge plus since many intercaste conflicts stem from that. But still, my parents refuse. We've tried everything to convince them, and it's been 1.5 years, but no one is willing to support me. My family is using intense emotional pressure, saying love is making me blind and I'm ruining their reputation and all kinds of shit. I feel completely miserable, don't know what to do.
Never been faced with this situation.
I was literally thinking this as we were coming up with this episode, where if my parents told me you can't date someone, I just wouldn't understand the feeling. I'd be like, who asked for your permission? First of all. Secondly, shut up and go shopping for the wedding. You know what I'm saying? But I do know someone who's recently their engagement broke off because the parents, like, they got engaged and everything, and then when they sat to do like your daughter will have to do this, no, we expect your son to do that, the families just couldn't reach a middle ground. So after 7 years together, they had to part ways because their families didn't agree.
But again, we come from extremely privileged like backgrounds.
But the people I'm talking about are way more privileged than us.
Yeah. But I'm saying even just by natural order of things, even if we were to say that, oh, I'm okay to date outside my community, you're not really put into situations where you're meeting people outside your community because that's just how divided society is. Like me sitting in South Delhi and like us sitting in between Bandra and like South Bombay, there's no way that you would actually meet somebody outside your community. So you would have to really
But like a Sindhi and a Jain person is
Sindhi
also...
and a Jain, yeah. No, I mean I was talking more like financial class or caste conversation.
Yeah. No, that is true. I feel like...
and Sindhi and Jain is like really loggerhead communities in terms
Are
of
they?
like in the way of what both communities prioritize. Like I feel like they're quite opposite to each other in their way of thinking.
Oh,
No?
I don't know. So how, for me in Mumbai, we're so unaware of class, caste, all of those things because I feel like NRIs and everything are very into like class and caste and everything, but in Bombay you can go your whole life without thinking about any of these things. Like if I meet someone from a different religion or anything, for me it's never come up only. Like after years of being friends with Karima, I found out she's Muslim.
Yeah.
Even though it's not like she was hiding it,
Yeah.
but I just didn't realize.
Yeah.
Like, but
But that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you might meet people from other religions, but our like just how like how we've been raised or where we are by virtue of that, by the schools that we go to, there's already a natural selection in place.
yeah, but I'm talking about like now what would you do in like a Jain and Sindhi? Like that's such a like you're looking for reasons to get upset. Now the family is vegetarian also. This is like I just want someone to my daughter to marry someone I pick. This has really
Yeah,
nothing
this
to
has
do
nothing to do with your
like
kid.
with anything. Like and the thing is now okay her father is a trustee in their religious order, but how is what your daughter does any firstly she's not like doing anything like
Wrong.
yeah
Yeah.
that your suddenly your job is in jeopardy because your daughter decided to marry in a very like see when you count Jain and Hindu they are possibly the most like in sync communities, you know. So like if you have a problem with this also Bichari has not even gone to some like XYZ where you can be like actually our cultures won't mix, they're vegetarian also.
Yeah.
Like more than this, how much in sync are you gonna get unless she marries her brother?
I also feel like there are such few good catches left out there that let's just not be so picky. Like there aren't that many good women left and there aren't that many good men left. So when you find each other, just fucking latch on hard and don't leave for the next 3 lifetimes.
That's an insane take. No, you can't date with a scarcity mentality.
Of course you can.
Are you crazy?
What do you
That's how
mean?
you pick shitty people.
Hey.
No. But would you turn vegetarian for
See,
a partner?
I don't even turn left for a partner, so
Yeah.
I don't even really know what. I was talking to my friend's mom about it yesterday. I was like, I have genuinely like I've reached a point of I figured out my individual life so well that I don't even think I could breathe twice if my partner told me to breathe twice.
Yeah.
It's like why?
What's the reason?
Yeah.
No, fair. I feel like non-veg and veg for me is a harder.
You are stuck on this.
Yeah, because she already said he's vegetarian.
But also you are in a very similar.
No, I'm not in a similar thing, bro. I have never. My partner eats.
Okay.
Like, what?
Is he okay to be outed for his non-veg?
Yeah,
Oh, then
his
it's fine.
parents know, everyone
then that's
knows.
fine.
Like, my mom is also vegetarian. For me, all of this shit doesn't matter. If there's something on the table, I'll eat it. The problem is when I go on like relationship or something, I need to caricature a person or even on the pod. So all of this comes up, but now I'm getting irritated because people think they really know something about me based on what I'm saying, but I'm lying. So I'm like, fuck.
That's true. I like half the stuff we say on the podcast
Is caricature.
is caricature to make you laugh, and then you take it as Bible truth, and then you expect us to be those people.
How dare you call us out on our things that we have said with our full
Really
chest?
guts.
It's gross. What's happening in this country?
Okay, I want to ask you: do you really think in this day and age, in our bubbles, there is a way to have a taboo relationship?
Yeah, there is like dating. I feel like dating an overly religious person is a taboo in our circles.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people are not okay with again dating someone from another town or city. So that kind of or now to neighborhood. Like you try to convince a Bandra girl to move to Andheri. It's just not gonna happen. You try to convince an Andheri boy to move to Malad. It's just not a
Thing that happens,
situation. I'm sure in Delhi also there's that neighborhood thing. Like would a South Delhi girl move to Meerut?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
100%. But I do feel like we're so desensitized that and everyone around us is mostly financially independent enough that their parents might kick and scream, but by the end of it, sab mandap pe milenge.
Yeah, which is, if- it's not even something that happened in my previous generation in my family, because of my aunts and uncles. I know a lot of people that ran away and got married because their parents would not be okay with. Even one of my cousins, it actually just depends on how rebellious you are, because we're like 4 5 cousins. One cousin, her parents were not okay with someone she was dating, and she just didn't have any fight in her. She was like, it's fine, like whatever, I'll find someone else. But we all know that if she had just doubled down,
It would have happened.
we would have danced at a wedding on Tenu Leke.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever be able to run away with someone.
Bro, running,
It sounds
steady
really.
state cardio only. Yeah, running away with someone, although my daddy, my nani, my bua, my other bua, my mama, they all did it.
You're breaking the generational
Of
curse.
course. Like my parents broke it by doing an arranged marriage. A dishonor on the family. If we must get into that, guys, let's not talk about it.
Okay, before I leave you and you leave me, I'm gonna just throw some tier 1 taboos, because what else does tier 1 have apart from audacity and no real grit? Tier 1 taboos that other people might find extremely decent and like dealable
Yeah.
are not getting married into a joint family situation.
That's a taboo. Like, you cannot get married in a joint family.
Depends on the family.
No. Like, it can maybe. That's a tier 1 taboo, I guess.
I feel like I'm so tired of like doing my own laundry and stuff. It would just be nice to
Yeah,
like,
but then imagine someone's doing your laundry and
share
they're
the
like,
work.
thong nahi pehen sakte. Like, or imagine you have to do 6 people's laundry. You're thinking from what will be outsourced,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
what will be insourced, bro. My dad's thing is like, you can't marry anyone who's in a family business. Like, you absolutely, that's a big no to me, because his thing is like, yeah, everyone has a boss, but can my boss tell me how to behave with my wife?
True. And family businesses are full of secrets. They're full of secrets. You don't know, actually, the family might present as like extremely rich and affluential, and they're like in crores of debt that
Yeah.
you only find out once you're married.
That's,
It's happened one too many times.
yeah.
Marry a middle class person. They're very good.
Yeah.
Honest people. IIM. I'm kidding. No one from IIM.
No.
Okay. Never get married to an NRI.
Yeah, and vice versa. I feel like NRIs don't want to get married too. I don't think it's NRI. I think it's American Indian or like British Indian, like naturalized citizens, like
Yeah.
Indian origin.
Indian origin.
Not
yeah.
like NRI is like first gen that went there.
Yeah.
I think like someone who was born and brought up there, that's a.
No for me as well.
I can't do it. Yeah.
It would be too much of a
Gen gap.
gen gap.
Like they've grown up in a different India.
Yeah, they've grown up in a different India. They are extremely particular, though I feel like their societies are way more close knit and everyone's in everyone's business. And we have spent the last few decades getting out of that. So why jump into it all over again just because someone has an accent and access to Target? Never get married and move to Delhi for him. This was attacked. This was a personal attack to me. But I agree with you. In fact, at Lollapalooza, I met one of our followers who has moved to Delhi for her husband. And she was talking about how difficult it is for her to adjust to, again, being policed in terms of like nighttime and safety. She's not been able to make any friends. It's just a totally different world from what she's used to.
Oh.
So if you are moving to Delhi, just check the PIN code.
We make like our own navigation guide of Delhi.
Yeah.
It's
So we
like pin
make a-
codes to get married in XYZ cities.
Never
Never-
get married. So go. You were
I was
saying?
gonna say the parents being lawyers.
Never get married into a family where the parents are lawyers. Now, this is a new one, I must say.
Yeah, this also feels like an attack.
Yeah.
to me. My dad's a lawyer, and my boyfriend's dad's also a lawyer. So maybe we don't have nuptials. We just have contracts.
Yeah, it would be so cool.
Yeah. For
That would be
whom?
quite. For your dad.
You know, this is like between me and my boyfriend. It's a constant. Like I was like, firstly, I'll do a case on you with your dad as my lawyer, and he's like, I'll take your dad as my lawyer, and I'm like, good luck losing, and I walk off because my dad just became a lawyer.
What do I say to this?
The thing is, like, I feel like a lot of men are like, oh, false case, false case. You know, that's the
Yeah.
problem with like dating a family of lawyers. But ऐसे तुम काम करते ही क्यों? No one is, the false case ratio is very, very less. Like, there's a lot more unreported crime than there is reporting of false crime.
I had a full fight with my aunt on this where I don't know why she doubled down on this whole thing of like, oh, there are so many false cases and misreporting of like Me Too or assault. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how difficult is it for a woman to stand against everybody around her and go and register a case or raise her voice against an assault that's happening to her in a culture that anyway doesn't believe her? And you're going in as an educated person and you're saying, actually, because of a ratio of fake cases, we're actually going to look at you through this scrutiny. There are enough people who are getting out of that fucking Unnao rape cases come.
Literally,
Yuck.
it's disgusting. And the worst part is like the amount of over reporting on that one false case or two false cases compared to the under reporting on so many cases that are like true and justice has not been served is appalling. I'm not saying the person that did the false case and it came out to light is right and whatever. I'm just saying, like, if you think of genuine facts, the probability of it being a real case is much, much more. So let's just go with the majority and think of exceptions when they are exceptions rather than think of every exception and dismiss the rule.
And lastly, Sakshi, never get married into a political family.
We are though not in that category
not
that
in
a
that.
political family wants to marry us. But Pariniti, if you're listening,
Comment down below on how it has been a great delight.
was I dreaming or was Raghav Chadda doing Blinkit deliveries for a
Raghav
day?
Chadda is very smart guy. He's really trying to be like the youth politician, and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I wasn't dreaming.
No, you weren't dreaming.
Okay, amazing.
yeah.
No, if you find yourself in a taboo relationship and you have no one to talk about it with, we have this gossip wall on the Moss website. And if it's fun, we will not mod it. We will let it be posted. But yeah, your one man's trauma, one man's secret is another two women's podcast gossip. So thank you for sharing.
Subscribe to this channel.
100K
Follow.
soon.
Yeah, and we've been doing really well on Spotify, guys. So our Spotify audience, thank you so much. Bina
Thank you.
dekhe, we've reached like 60K subs on Spotify.
Yeah, and please rate us also on Spotify. Give us a 5-star only. Thank you. Bye.